So you want to know the next real estate market that is going to explode. In this video, I'm going to show you 3 simple ways that you can identify real estate markets that are prime for growth before prices go up. If you follow these simple steps, you will be able to save yourself some time and money by focusing on the right real estate markets and not ones that aren't as promising. My name's Emma, and I run a real estate team in Toronto called Monstera. We help busy professional millennials build wealth through real estate. If anybody wants to get in contact with me, there's a link in the description below to book a call. And always, if you find any value in the video, please give me a like and a subscribe to help the channel grow. Without further ado, let's hop into the video. So like I mentioned in the intro, we're going to talk about 3 things today that will help us quickly identify real estate markets that are prime for growth. And the way that I see this, it's kind of like a triangle. So all 3 things feed into each other. And the first thing we're going to talk about is what I would constitute as the most important, because all other points come back to this, and that is, are we growing? And when I'm talking about are we growing, there's 2 elements that I want to take into consideration. One is population growth and one is job growth. So I want to show you 2 quick tools that you can use online to help determine the population and job growth in your particular city. The first one that we're going to talk about is the Regional Labor Market Report Card, which was released in July by BMO. And what I really want to focus on is this if we're looking for city specific information. But if you're looking at how the province is doing, you can look at this table over here as well. But essentially, what this report card does is they have a weighted scale based on population, employment, unemployment, etc. And what they'll do is they'll tally up an overall score for individual cities across the country, and they'll rate it based on which cities have the highest labor market performance. So if you're contemplating between 2 cities, that might be a really easy way for you to go and see, which one was more heavily weighted by BMO. So the second tool I want to show you guys is something called City Data. And my recommendation for you, if you're looking for something in Canada, I would go to City Data on Google and type in the city that you're looking for, because the main website is more geared towards cities in the States. Now, what you'll notice is you can see what the population growth is here, and this hasn't been updated in a little while. Of course, we have the census, so we get this information not as frequently as they do in the States, but you might go to Google and say, what's the current population of whatever your city is, and see how it's grown over the last 20 years. Right? And how is it growing in comparison to the province? Now, the other thing that I think is pretty cool about this website is they're going to give you different industries, venues, anything that could be of interest from a travel and tourism perspective, things that could attract immigration, main radio stations, whether or not this is important to you or not. If you're moving to a new city, it might be kind of cool. They'll also give you the marital status. They'll give you information on family and household characteristics if you want to see what the demographics are like in that city or in that particular neighborhood, the primary languages that are spoken. And then one last thing that I think is really, really cool here is if you dive into the forum page, you'll see that these are quite updated, and there's tons of different threads on different cities, what's happening 7 years later, what are the ugliest areas, where do people vacation. There's tons of different threads on really relevant information that may be pertinent to you making an overall decision on your particular city or location. You can get some pretty interesting local community conversations on there. So if you're looking for some nitty-gritty details on specific neighborhoods, I would definitely check out City Data. If you're looking for more information on job growth, then I would actually check out the labor market scorecard that BMO had released. So let's talk about the second thing that I think is really important of the 3, and that is, where are the big dogs going? And what I'm talking about when I say big dogs, I'm talking institutional money. Where are the larger corporations going? So whether that happens to be developers, employers, or just large corporations with infrastructure to help create new neighborhoods, where are they spending their money? The reason why I think this is important is because we are individual people doing research online. These are large corporations that are backed by millions and millions of dollars that do lots of research and development before they're going to shell out their hard earned cash, put stores into neighborhoods, and staff them. There's a lot more work that they have to go through. They have to jump through a lot more hoops than we do as individual people to just go and buy one house before they start digging, getting permits, staffing, all of that kind of stuff. So I like to piggyback off the research and development of companies that have more manpower than me at the end of the day. And so one of the things that I did when I bought my first condo was I realized there was a neighborhood downtown, And most people, when I would chat with them, they didn't want to go there because it was underdeveloped. And one of the things that I've really learned in real estate is that people don't have a lot of patience. They want to buy the turnkey thing, they want to move in the neighborhood that is ready. If you are somebody that has patience and you're willing to live through an underdeveloped neighborhood that has guaranteed development coming into it, of course, I can't guarantee that you're going to make money, but it's a great starting point to know that once that area is developed in the future, that's when the light switch turns on and everybody that once neglected that neighborhood goes, that looks pretty cool. We should get in there. So, to give you an example of my first property, I saw there was a guaranteed Loblaws that was getting put in. They had already started construction. Starbucks had just gone on the corner and Shoppers had just announced that they were going to start building. So I thought, okay, this kind of sucks. There's no grocery store in the neighborhood right now. There's no pharmacy. There's no LCBO. Yes, I have a coffee shop, so that's great. But I did some research to say, is this speculative that they're coming into the neighborhood or are these guaranteed plans? And once I found out that they were guaranteed plans, I realized I have a vehicle. I'm willing to live in an underdeveloped neighborhood because I believe in this neighborhood in 5 years from now. And fast forward to today, it's done really, really well for me. So this is what I did. It worked really, really well for me. And this is what we help clients do is to find underdeveloped neighborhoods and to buy in early to give ourselves the highest likelihood of future growth so that we can get into a neighborhood and then get into our dream neighborhood after we've built up that equity by buying in early. All right. Now, the tools that I want to show you guys when it comes to getting in where the big dogs are, what I will often do is go and I might look for news articles or public announcements from these companies. So here's an example that was released in May. Microsoft deepens investment in Canada with the opening of its new headquarters. And if you actually read through this article, there's obviously a picture of John Tory at the headquarters. You can see here that Microsoft and its ecosystem, which includes 15,000 partners and substantial cloud infrastructure, basically accounts for 300,000 Canadian jobs and contributes more than $37 billion to Canada's GDP. And if you go down here, you can see Microsoft employs nearly 5,000 people across Canada, and that's doubled since 2019. They also have, again, 15,000 partners in Canada, all of which who are employers to Canadian workers, right? So that's something that I would look for to say, who are the large corporations that are investing in my city? What kind of job creation? Again, kind of going back to the first thing that I said, and that's why I kind of said that pyramid thing. How are these corporations investing in the infrastructure of these cities to come back for population growth and for job growth? And the second tool I want to show you, if you're thinking, well, I don't have a ton of large corporations, I'm not in a particular city where, Microsoft is putting their headquarters. Another quick and simple tip that you can is to find new developments. So if you're watching this video and you're Toronto, you may or may not have heard about Lakeview Village. It's a new master plan community that is coming to the south of Mississauga. There are a ton, and I'm talking a ton of big players that are investing, one of which happens to be Tridel, which is arguably the most popular builder in Toronto. And so what you can see is the numbers for this project. Well, they're going to have 9,000 long-term jobs. They have 16,000 to 20,000 new residents. 10 to 12 acres for campus and cultural innovation and lands. They're going to be building townhouses, mid-rises, and taller buildings. So what I would do is I would find the biggest development players in your particular city and see, are there two or three of them that are buying property or buying land together in a particular neighborhood? And is there an expected completion date? And then I would do some more research and say, are there any other big corporations or did Starbucks just pop up there? What's going on? Why do these guys all want to buy in this neighborhood? And I would start my research there. So that's going to lead me to my third point here, and that is connection and commute. So what will typically happen is when we have infrastructure and investment from these developers and we have job growth and population growth coming into a particular neighborhood, we're also going to need to make sure that any new developments or new neighborhoods are connected by main forms of arteries of transit. One of the things that I would say is do some research on the connectivity plan of that particular neighborhood. Is there something already there? Is there something that's guaranteed to get put in? And one of the hacks that I would show you guys to look at is this. This is the 2041 regional transportation plan that was released through links. And so what this does, especially for us in Toronto, if you look at just the table of contents, it goes through What is the plan? Why was it developed? How was it developed? What's it going to achieve? And how will it be implemented? Then it goes through some of the challenges that they have and their influences. And then chapter 3 goes through their vision, their goal, their strategies, and their priorities. And so when we look at the priorities, that will give you some guidance of saying, okay, these are their priorities. This is the hierarchy and sequential order. You know what? Maybe in phase 1, my budget doesn't allow me to be part of phase 1, but it does allow me to be part of phase 2. And here is their estimated completion date. Do I think, or do we think, if we purchased a property in this neighborhood and we were going to move in, that we would be comfortable holding that property and living there ourselves until that completion happens? Or are the rents strong enough that we could move out and go somewhere else, but continue to keep that property so that we could squeeze out all of the juice from our investment at the end of the day? And so, to recap the three things that I think make up that pyramid, we have commute and connectivity at the top. We have following the big dogs and the institutional money in the center. And then we have the question of, are we growing at the bottom? So, do we have population growth and do we have job growth in each individual region? And I think if the answer to all three of those things are yes, you have identified an area that is primed for future growth in real estate. If you found any value in the video, please give me a thumbs up and a subscribe. And I hope to see you in the next one.